The phone rang with urgency, not like the usual calls he received. The voice on the other end was one he knew all too well, a voice that carried with it memories, history, and a complicated past. It was Irina, and her words were trembling, heavy, almost desperate. "Cristiano, I need to meet you. It's an emergency." That word, emergency, immediately sent a chill through his body. Emergencies are not ordinary, not trivial. They carry weight, they demand action. In that moment, Ronaldo felt his heart quicken. He had no idea what awaited him, no clue why she was calling after so much time apart, but something in her tone left him with no choice but to agree. Minutes later, Ronaldo found himself at a quiet, private restaurant. One of those places he often chose when he needed peace away from the flashing cameras and endless eyes of the public. But this was no ordinary evening. The door opened, and there she was, Irina, walking in with a look of tension painted across her face. And in her arms, a child. A small baby, wrapped in soft blankets, fast asleep, unaware of the storm its presence had just unleashed. For a moment, Ronaldo froze. His eyes shifted from Irina to the baby and back again. His mind raced with questions he couldn't even put into words. Who was this child? Why was she here? Why now? The world around him felt like it had slowed to half its speed, every second stretching into eternity. Irina walked toward the table, her arms clutching the baby with a strange mixture of protectiveness and nervousness. She placed her bag down gently, then adjusted the baby in her arms before finally sitting. Ronaldo could feel the tension in the air. It was thick, almost suffocating. And then came the words that struck him like lightning. Words he never imagined he would hear from her lips. Words that cut through the silence and landed heavy in his chest. "Cristiano, this child, it's yours." In that instant, his breath caught. He didn't know what to say, didn't know how to react. The world-famous athlete, the man who had faced countless pressures on the field, who had carried nations' hopes on his shoulders, sat there, completely speechless. His mind screamed with disbelief, confusion, denial, but his lips refused to form words. How could this be? When? Why hadn't she spoken before? 1,000 thoughts erupted inside him like a storm, but all he could do was stare at the child. Its tiny fingers, its innocent face. It had no fault in this mess, no role in the adult conflicts that surrounded it. Yet its mere presence had the power to turn his world upside down. But Ronaldo wasn't alone in this moment. Because earlier, when Irina had asked to meet, he had made a decision that changed everything. He had told Georgina. He had told her there was an emergency, and he had asked her to come with him. Georgina, though hesitant, had agreed. At first, she sat apart, watching from a distance, giving space for this tense meeting. She didn't want to intrude, didn't want to turn a private confrontation into a public scene. But as the words left Irina's lips, as she claimed that the baby was his, Georgina's eyes widened. Her heart pounded with a mixture of shock, anger, and fear. This wasn't just about a child. This was about trust, about betrayal, about the fragile balance of love and loyalty. For Georgina, it felt as if the ground beneath her feet had cracked open. Was she about to lose everything she had built with him? Was this the secret that would tear them apart? Irina sat with a strange calmness after her declaration, almost as if she had rehearsed it. She looked at Ronaldo, waiting for his reaction, waiting for the disbelief, the denial, the confrontation. But Ronaldo was silent. His silence was louder than any scream. His silence was the battlefield where emotions clashed, where fear met confusion, and where love collided with responsibility. The baby stirred slightly, letting out a soft sound, and Irina gently rocked it, her eyes never leaving Ronaldo's. The weight of her claim was unbearable. Yet she sat there as if daring him to challenge her, and then, without warning, Georgina stood. She could no longer stay away, no longer watch this unfold from a distance. Her footsteps echoed in the quiet restaurant as she approached the table. Irina's eyes shifted instantly, and for the first time that night, she looked unsettled. The presence of Georgina was not part of her plan. Georgina sat down beside Ronaldo, her hand brushing his as if to remind him she was there, that they were together in this moment. The atmosphere grew colder, sharper, almost dangerous. Irina, who had walked in with so much confidence, now seemed rattled. Her eyes darted between the man she once loved and the woman who now stood beside him, and then, breaking the unbearable silence, Irina muttered words that no one expected. I was only joking. It was just a prank. Don't take it seriously. The words fell flat. They felt hollow, cruel, and unbelievable. Georgina's eyes burned with fury. How could she dare to play with something so serious? How could she manipulate emotions with a claim so devastating? Georgina leaned forward, her voice firm, unshaken, and sharp like a blade. Irina, don't make this mistake again. Not even once more. Because you don't just play with my husband's name. You play with our family, our love, our life. Her hand tightened around Ronaldo's, pulling him closer. And in that moment, Ronaldo, who had been drowning in silence, felt the strength of her presence. She wasn't just defending herself. She was defending him, too. Irina looked away, her plan unraveling before her eyes. She had come expecting shock, chaos, perhaps even division. But what she faced instead was unity. Georgina and Ronaldo standing together. Without another word, Georgina rose, holding Ronaldo's hand firmly. They turned away, walking out of the restaurant, leaving Irina behind in the shadows of her own game. That night, Ronaldo's mind was heavy, his heart restless. The image of the baby, the weight of Irina's words, the fire in Georgina's eyes, all of it haunted him. But one truth became clear in that storm. No matter what storms came their way, he and Georgina were stronger together. The night air was colder than usual as Ronaldo and Georgina stepped out of the restaurant. The streets were quiet, but inside both of them, a storm was raging. Their hands were locked together, yet their minds were far apart, tangled in thoughts they could not voice aloud. The sound of their footsteps echoed as they walked toward the car, each step heavy with unspoken questions. Ronaldo opened the door for Georgina first, as he always did, but this time, she did not smile. She sat down, her gaze fixed on the horizon, silent and unreadable. He walked around, slipping into the driver's seat, and for a long moment, neither of them said a word. The silence inside the car was almost unbearable, louder than any argument. Ronaldo gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. He wanted to speak, to explain, to tell her that he was just as confused, just as blindsided as she was. But every time he tried to form words, his throat tightened. How could he explain something he himself didn't understand? How could he assure her when doubt still gnawed at him from within? Georgina's eyes glistened in the dim light. She turned her head slightly toward him, her voice steady but filled with restrained emotion. Cristiano, what if she wasn't joking? What if this wasn't just a prank? Those words pierced him deeply. He had thought the same. The baby's face, those tiny hands. It wasn't something easily dismissed. Even if Irina had claimed it was a prank, the image lingered, refusing to vanish. He swallowed hard, searching for strength in his own voice. Georgina, I swear to you, I don't know who that child is. I've never seen it before. I don't understand why she came, why she said those words. Her eyes locked on his, scanning for even the smallest hint of doubt. Georgina had always trusted him, but tonight her heart battled with fear. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to hold on to their bond. But the shadow Irina had cast was heavy. The drive home felt endless. Every red light stretched into eternity. Every turn of the road felt heavier than the last. Ronaldo's mind drifted to the past, his memories with Irina, the years they had shared. Though those days were long gone, tonight they returned with sharp edges, cutting into the peace he had built with Georgina. He remembered Irina's smile from years ago, the way the media once called them the perfect couple. But he also remembered the fights, the distance, the eventual silence that ended it all. Could there have been something left unsaid? Could this child truly be linked to him? The possibility was unbearable, yet it gnawed at him like a whisper he couldn't silence. When they finally reached home, the mansion felt colder than ever. The walls that once echoed with laughter and children's voices now seemed to mirror their silence. Georgina walked in without a word, her steps quick, her posture stiff. Ronaldo followed, closing the door behind him with a heavy sigh. In the living room, Georgina finally stopped. She turned to him, her face pale but determined. Cristiano, I need you to be honest with me. Was there ever any chance this could be true? Even before me? Even before us? Her question hung in the air like a blade. Ronaldo felt the weight of it pressing on his chest. He stepped closer, placing his hands gently on her shoulders. His voice trembled, but it carried truth. No, Georgina. You are my truth. You are my present and my future. Whatever Irina was trying to do tonight, it was a game, a cruel one. But I swear on everything I have, on everything we've built, that child is not mine. Georgina studied his face, searching for sincerity. And though doubt lingered like a faint shadow, she saw the pain in his eyes, the raw honesty in his voice. Slowly, she exhaled, but the fire inside her had not dimmed. Cristiano, I love you. But if she ever tries this again, if she ever dares to come between us again, I will not stay silent. No one will come between me and my family. Not Irina. Not anyone. Ronaldo nodded, pulling her into his arms. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest, rapid but steady. In that embrace, he found a fragment of peace, but deep inside, he knew this was not the end. Irina's visit had opened a door that should have remained closed. The image of the baby lingered in his mind like a haunting ghost, and no matter how much he tried to push it away, it refused to leave. That night, as they lay in bed, Georgina rested her head on his shoulder, but her eyes remained open, staring into the darkness. Ronaldo closed his eyes, but sleep would not come. In his dreams, he saw Irina again, standing at the table with the baby in her arms, whispering those words over and over. Cristiano, this child, it's yours. The following morning, the sunlight spilled gently through the wide windows of Ronaldo's home, painting the walls in gold. Yet for him and Georgina, there was no peace in this new day. The night had been restless. Sleep had danced just out of reach, replaced by endless thoughts of Irina and the child she had carried into their lives. At the breakfast table, Georgina moved quietly, preparing food for the children, trying to smile, trying to mask the heaviness inside her. Ronaldo sat across from her, staring into his coffee, his mind wandering far beyond the walls of the house. The children's laughter echoed in the background, but even their joy could not erase the memory of that baby's innocent face. Georgina finally broke the silence. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed her frustration. Cristiano, she won't stop here. I know it. Yesterday was just the beginning. She wanted to test us, to see how strong we are together. And next time, she'll push harder. Ronaldo nodded slowly. He knew Georgina was right. Irina was not the type to appear without reason. She had been calculated, deliberate, and even though she had called it a prank, the damage was already done. A seed of doubt had been planted, and even if he denied it with all his strength, the question lingered in the back of his mind as the day unfolded. Ronaldo tried to distract himself with training, throwing his entire body into the game, pushing harder, running faster. But even on the field, he felt haunted. Every cheer from the fans, every camera flash, seemed to mock him with the thought, is it true? Could that baby be mine? When he returned home, Georgina was waiting. Her arms were crossed, her expression firm. She called again, Georgina said, her voice edged with anger. Irina, she said she wants to meet you again. Alone. Ronaldo's stomach twisted. Alone? That word carried danger. He shook his head immediately. No, I won't see her without you. Not now, not ever. But Georgina stepped closer, her voice dropping, filled with both love and warning. Cristiano, listen to me. If you go alone, she'll twist the story. She'll say whatever she wants, and there will be no witness. She's not here for peace. She's here to destroy what we have. He reached for her hand, holding it tightly. Then you will be by my side, always. I won't let her break us apart. That evening, the call came again. Irina's voice, calm but demanding. Cristiano, meet me tomorrow. There are things I need to explain. Things Georgina doesn't need to hear. Her words were sharp, intentional. She wanted division. She wanted secrecy. But Ronaldo responded firmly, his voice steady. If I meet you, Georgina comes with me. That's final. There was a pause on the other end. Then Irina laughed softly, almost mockingly. Still hiding behind her? Fine, let her come. But remember, Cristiano, some truths are harder to face when your perfect world is watching. The line went dead, and Ronaldo lowered the phone slowly, his jaw tight, his heart heavy. The next day arrived with tension thick in the air. Ronaldo and Georgina drove together, their hands locked, though neither spoke much. Both knew that whatever Irina planned would not be simple. They arrived at a quiet hotel lounge, a place chosen by Irina. She was already there, waiting, dressed elegantly, her presence commanding attention, and once again, she had the baby with her. When Ronaldo and Georgina walked in, Irina's lips curved into a small smile. She rose slowly, cradling the child with an almost theatrical tenderness. The baby's soft cries filled the air, innocent and unaware of the storm it carried on its tiny shoulders. "Cristiano?" Irina said softly, her eyes locking onto his. "I didn't come yesterday for a game. I came because you deserve to know the truth." Georgina stiffened beside him, her hand tightening around his arm. Ronaldo's voice was low, guarded. "Then say it. No more games, Irina. No more pranks." Irina took a deep breath, looking down at the child, then back at him. Her eyes shimmered, but whether with real tears or practiced performance, it was impossible to tell. "This baby is connected to you in ways you can't imagine, and whether you accept it or not, you will have to face that truth." The words struck like thunder. Georgina's breath caught, her eyes blazing with fury. "Stop this, Irina. Stop playing with his life, with our life. If this is another trick, I swear." But Irina interrupted, her voice sharper now, her gaze unshaken. "Georgina, this isn't about you. This is about him. About Cristiano and what he has the right to know." Ronaldo felt as if the walls were closing in around him. The air grew heavier, his heart beat faster. He didn't know whether to believe her, to fight her, or to walk away. All he knew was that this was no longer just a game. And in that moment, as silence fell once again, he realized one thing with absolute certainty. This was only the beginning. The air inside the hotel lounge was suffocating. Silence hung like a heavy curtain, broken only by the faint whimper of the baby in Irina's arms. Ronaldo stood frozen, his mind torn between disbelief and a strange, gnawing curiosity. Georgina, however, was anything but still. Her eyes burned, sharp as fire, her presence fierce, like a lioness defending her territory. Irina adjusted the blanket around the baby, her every move calculated, deliberate. Then she reached into her bag. Ronaldo's eyes followed her hand, his heart tightening with every second. She placed a small envelope on the table between them. Its presence was heavy, dangerous, as if it carried the weight of 1,000 storms. "This," Irina said softly, her voice trembling just enough to sound convincing, "is proof." Ronaldo's chest tightened. He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even blink. Georgina, however, snapped forward. Her hand hovered near the envelope, but she didn't touch it. Instead, she glared at Irina. "Proof of what? Another one of your sick games? You've already played with our lives once. You think we'll believe anything you put in an envelope?" Irina didn't flinch. She sat calmly, almost smugly, as if she had been waiting for this exact confrontation. "Open it," she whispered. Ronaldo's hand shook as he reached forward. Slowly, he picked up the envelope, feeling the weight of it between his fingers. He hesitated. He didn't want to see what was inside. He didn't want to feed the flames of this nightmare. But curiosity and fear drove him forward. He slid the papers out and unfolded them. His eyes scanned the lines, his face tightening with every word. It was a document, a birth certificate, and on the section for father, his own name was written. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro. The room spun, his breath caught in his throat. Georgina's eyes widened, her jaw tightening as she leaned closer to see. The name was there, clear as day. The date, the place, the signature. It was all there, but something about it felt wrong. Ronaldo dropped the papers on the table, his voice sharp, almost breaking. This can't be real. Where did you get this?" Subscribe WSN for this audio stories of Ronaldo's life, and watch our shorts of Ronaldo's real-life incidents.